Good evening to all my fellow spiritually ratchet friends and family. Welcome to all of our new and curious. Just to catch you up, Spiritually Ratchet is a visual podcast that you can catch me on every Sunday evening live on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. After that, I'll send out the audio podcast version on Spotify, Apple Music, and anywhere else that the Anchor streaming allows me to stream to. So who's Spiritually Ratchet? I'm Spiritually Ratchet. I'm Arbra, not Barbara. And I'm on my walk. I'm on my spiritual path to a deeper relationship with God. But at the same time, I'm just like you. I'm a sinner. I have questions. I've got habits. I've got views. I've got experiences. And they're not all squeaky clean. So I created a safe place for me and for people like me to talk about it. This is a judge-free zone. We'll discuss things that are too holy for the ratchet and too taboo for the spiritual. There'll be strong language, trust me on that. There will be adult content. I swear to God, adult is probably not even a strong enough word. There will be unpopular opinions. So this is definitely for the 18 and up and not a place where if you don't mind discussing the hard stuff and being uncomfortable, you can leave now. But there also will be tons of jokes. There will be understanding. There will be building of bridges. There will be love. There will be prayer. And prayerfully, there will be healing. Thank you again for hanging out with me and enjoy the show. Hey everybody, welcome back. I have missed you guys for the last 2 weeks, but I want to get right into something real quick because we've got an interesting conversation for tonight. So check out this video with me.
The language we use. Black American culture is American culture. I spoke with author Pendarvis Harshaw to learn more about Black culture's influence and how we celebrate it. I'm Miles Best, and this is Black Culture is Your Culture. How would you define Black culture?
Black culture is it's a gumbo. Pieces of all the different types of life throughout the diaspora, all mixed into one. When I define Black culture, I think of the resiliency that comes along with that mindset. Just being innovative. What resources do I have? What needs? And how can I fill those needs? From our language, where we saw the Queen's English, and we said, yeah, but nah, it doesn't really express how I feel.
Yeah.
So let me create this word to show what I'm finna do. And then they were like, finna? Like, oh, I know what you mean.
Write that down.
And even with that said, like, Black culture is so broad. It's not a monolith. It's not one thing.
What parts of Black culture is America comfortable using versus like what they aren't comfortable using?
Black culture is really intertwined with green culture. Like, we're uncomfortable with whatever brings in the money, the revenue. When Black culture becomes a commodity, right? In my opinion, it becomes watered down. And all of a sudden you miss the authenticity of the storytellers.
For example, you play a game like Fortnite, you know what I'm saying? You got all the dances in Fortnite, and now you have like some of the people who created those dances like straight up suing, like, hey,
I want my money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The unfortunate part is that, I mean, even me personally, I wasn't taught to value my creations. I wasn't taught to value my own ideas. One of the beautiful things about social media and the democracy of the internet is that people are voicing their opinions. If you feel like, appropriation is happening, you have all the right to speak up and say something about it. And we didn't have that in years past.
So like if you do get called out for appropriation or for, taking Black culture and doing something improperly with it, how should you respond to it? If you're, someone on the other side getting called out.
So if you're appropriating Black culture for capitalist purposes, give the money back. Reinvest in the community. And that's the only way any type of justice will be had.
It sounds like I'm coming off as like overly protective, like of our culture, which is fair, but it's like, where does that overprotectiveness kind of come from, you think?
You grow up as a have-not, then you want to hoard everything that's of value to you. It goes without saying, no matter what race you are, no matter what culture you are. And it's interesting because culture isn't necessarily tangible. And so how do you retain a way of life, especially when you're so happy about it, you celebrate it. We literally celebrate our culture. And when people see that, it's like, oh man, they're having fun over there. I'm gonna go join them. I'm gonna kick it. Yeah, I'm gonna come to the barbecue,
So being that it is Black History Month, shouldn't all people be celebrating Black History Month?
Yes. all people internationally should be celebrating the history of African Americans. Like, look at the entertainment you value, or the music, the food, the dances, the celebration of life. I mean, as you pull through history this month, realize that each story that you're telling is a story of somebody who swam upstream and managed to smile at the end of that swim. And like that's why I value Black history, Black culture, and Black people as a whole.
Hey guys,
Yo.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
How sweet it is to be loved by
Stop this time. So, I have been gone for a couple weeks. I'm back now, and I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I'm sure everybody knows who you are, but just in case, I've got Rock below, Suave that way, and Thomas hiding in the dark. You know, I don't trust you in the dark. You be back there acting up. Go ahead and put this little
Tell him to turn his camera over. Let's see who in the car. Never mind. I ain't gonna get this.
I'm gonna go ahead and just disclaimer on there saying that this is a judge-free zone and we are not for everybody. You're welcome if you're 18 and up. I prefer you to be 30-ish and up because sometimes y'all little kids don't know how to act. But either way, I appreciate you coming in. So my topic for today is Do It for the Culture Guys Edition. And, yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear y'all. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
So we talking freely?
Of course.
About anything?
Well, we're gonna try and tie it into Do It for the Culture.
Do it for the culture. Do it for the culture.
Mhm.
How can I see it? Do it for the culture.
I'm gonna let you work on that while I talk a bit. About it.
Go ahead.
So I've had this plan for a little while, and I've got a couple of more in this series coming up. There's a lot of things that we can attribute to Black culture. But this year in 2020, with the Black Lives Matter movement and all that good stuff, everybody's questioning the Black culture. Where do we fit in? Because we're too American for Africa, but too dark for America. There's a whole lot of different things going on. And then you add in this whole fluid movement where all of our younger generation Black men are or transitioning or thinking it's okay to wear girls' clothes. If that's your thing, I don't care. I don't judge you, but that's just my opinion. So if you don't like it, fuck off. But I need somebody to tell me what they think. What's going on? How are y'all feeling about it? Look like the devil over here. There you go. He got horns and stuff. So what do y'all think? Tell me something good.
Rock, you want to start off?
My mind was a little bit somewhere else with that, so I didn't catch everything you said. I apologize.
He's trying to figure out how to work it into Black culture.
Black culture, Black relationships, you know what I'm saying? Black love, Black friendship. You know, if things don't necessarily work out between Black people, why the fuck do we have to feel like we need to attack Black people, hurt Black people, and destroy Black people? Because things just don't work out the way we want them to in relationships. I can't just step away from you because I feel like you're not good enough. Not good enough for me, but that's not the word. But I can't just step away because it didn't work out.
Do you feel like that's a theme amongst Black relationships, not being able to separate or break ties without drama?
I don't. Yeah, it's most definitely a theme. It's been a theme in my life.
Mine too.
It's been a theme on my life. It's like everybody can make choices, right? We all got choices. You got a choice to deal with me, you got a choice to walk away. Once you choose to walk away from me, why do you have to try to destroy me and my life and me as a person, my character, on your way out the door? Why can't you just fucking leave? That's your choice. You know? If you choose to involve yourself with me and you know I'm going through shit and I'm being transparent, I'm being honest with you, and it's not enough for you and it's becoming a problem for you, and I see that and I decide to step away because you can't handle what the fuck you told me you can handle, why you gotta try to destroy me in my life on your way out? Like, what the fuck is it up with black people that we want to hurt black people over some emotional bullshit? Like, you know, I don't get that.
That's from my personal experience and what I do dealing with people and how they handle relationships, both personal, intimate relationships, family relationships, and work. You aren't really taught as a Black culture how to handle stuff like that. I know they have this cultural belief that Black people don't go to counseling. Black people don't, you know, what happens in this house stays in this house kind of attitude. So they fight it out amongst themselves and they leave situations trying to hurt everybody on their way out because they feel hurt. Don't know how to direct.
So I'm saying that to say this. Y'all know who I was dealing with, and I've been transparent with this shit from day one, with y'all and with this person. He played with some bullshit, right? Knowing what the fuck I'm going through in my situation, she played on that shit, and I never really said anything other than I'm done dealing with that bullshit, right? Give me some time, leave it alone. It's been a fucking day, 2 days. Now I'm getting all kind of threats and shit, all kind of texts and shit. Motherfucking putting pictures of me and her on her social media profile, screenshotting it, showing it to me. Then they screenshotting my wife, my ex-wife's Facebook page, making threats to send her shit. For what? I thought we was just cool, but we was never together. Like, what did I do with you? How did I hurt you? I was transparent with you. You know, I'm having a hard time going through my situation right now with this woman and my kids and my children. So what did I do to you to deserve that? What did my kids do to you? Because what? Because you feel like, what? You're not getting what you want from me? I'm not moving fast enough for you?
Suave, what is your take?
I think we as Black people live in a very toxic culture. I find it very interesting because over the past few weeks, I've been a part of this app that's called Clubhouse, and it has, you know, it basically features the entire world. It's by invite only, so no app is just someone invites you. Now, throughout my experience there, I've been blessed enough to be able to interact with Black people here in America from all over the nation, Black people from over in the UK, and then also Black people that are centralized in Africa. And I've noticed the staunch differences between us and then similarities, but we over here in the States, because what we absorb all the time is under the bounds of the white supremacy, that we see Black people torn down by everybody. We see Black people picked on. We see Black people disrespected. We see Black people murdered, and we take that in and we internalize it. And in turn, we see that happen to any other people. You know, what you put in is going to come out at some point in time. And so as a result, we involve ourselves in it. We tear one another down. We disrespect one another. We kill one another. We interact with one another with such vitriol, hatred that we don't interact with any other race in the world, anywhere else in the world. And that's seen here, that's seen in the UK, and also in Africa. Like, I found out something that goes on in the UK which blew my mind. Like, there's black people getting their ass beat by the police over there, and the police don't even carry guns. And that blew my fucking mind, because I said they better not never stop carrying guns over here in the US. Now, they have a special police force that carries gun over there in the UK, but they have a response time where it's going to take them a little while to make it to the scene. But it just speaks volumes that even without that added sentiment that they don't even have guns over there, but black people still treat one another horribly. Black people still allow themselves to be treated horribly. And it just speaks to the mental bondage that we've placed ourselves in. Yes, we were placed in it, and it was forced on us at a certain point in time, centuries ago, but we're no longer in those circumstances. Those are the struggles of our ancestors, but we here today in the present, we have choices that they didn't have. We have the access to resources that they didn't have, but yet we still inflict this same mental bondage and physical bondage on ourselves that was forced on them. And it's sad to me. It's really, really sad. I don't know why it's this way. I don't know what it will take to change it. But we as a people we're on the decline, an even sharper decline than we've ever been in history, if you ask me. Are there successful blacks? Absolutely. Are black people that are moving and striving to change? Absolutely. But just like conversation about racism, is there racist white people? Absolutely. Are there white people that aren't? Absolutely. But those that are few and far in between, and they are not nowhere near as important as the ones that are. And it's just a cyclical cycle that seems to continue and repeat itself generation after generation, family member after family member. It's like we're on a continuous hamster wheel of death, destruction, demise of just people. And I don't get it. I just don't get it.
So,
What about you, Thomas? What's yours?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's up?
What's your take on it right now about how black culture is playing out right now, both in just in general with racism and brutality, but we just brought up, black love and relationships and how hurtful we are to each other.
It's to be honest with you, I have to piggyback off what nephew said. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, our black culture. I mean, if you talk about our black culture, one of our black cultures is our black men sag their pants every day, and that's not attractive at all. I mean, it's just. I mean, I agree with nephew. I mean, the way we treat each other, I mean, we don't build each other up. We tear each other down every day. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and our black culture, I feel like we fell in it, to be honest. What our ancestors left us and what they gave us is totally different than what we have now. We've totally fell off as far as the black culture. Don't get me wrong, there's some positives inside of it, but there's way more negatives to our black culture than there's ever been today. Especially when it comes to relationships, when it comes to music. I mean, let's just be honest. Our black culture now, we're known to degrade ourselves. Period. We're known to degrade ourselves.
Today I made my mind up. I'll never, for the rest of my fucking life, get involved with another fucking woman as far as a relationship shit. Right? I'm done with that shit. Because it don't do you no fucking good.
I don't say never, but give it some time.
I'm done. And I don't even want to say I'm done with black women, right? Because my mother's a black woman, and my daughter's a black woman, and I love black women. But black women, the black women I've dealt with, right? I'm done, man. I can't. Y'all, I don't understand.
My
You get what I'm
parents,
saying?
trust me, I understand. My parents separated back in '99 after 32 years of marriage. And my dad went back on the dating scene and he attempted to date black women. He was actually here in DFW. Um, but after a couple of tries, he said he was done. He couldn't do it. And he's never American black woman again. He's physically gone to Africa and gotten him a wife.
Man, I
Smart
did it
man.
with someone that I was transparent with, know what the fuck I was going through, and gave me the same bullshit, the same exact shit, and then trying to attack me and hurt me. But man, I'm done.
What do you, how do you teach your children differently?
You can't. It's hard. That's been my whole thing, man. I want my kids to see what something different than what I saw when I grew up, right? But it's hard because you meet these women, and just like I was hurt, right? And I was, how they say, broken. And I don't even like to say I'm broken. No, nigga, I was just hurt, and I'm recovering from that hurt. I'm not broken, right? Because I'm still here, nigga. I'm still moving. Ain't shit stopping me. When some shit broke, it don't work no more. You know what I'm talking about? I ain't broken. I believe in love. I want to believe in black love, but it's hard because my black love won't allow me to do what these fucking women do just because their feelings is hurt. My black love won't allow me to do that shit. Okay. I ain't putting no woman in jail because the nigga don't want me. All right. I'm not gonna do something that's gonna jeopardize a nigga seeing his kids because the nigga don't want me or the woman don't want me. I'm not doing that shit. Women do shit, they fucking evil over some shit. It don't make sense to me. But
But
what, what I'm saying is, like, well, I got a lot of shit I want to say, but I don't really want to say it because I don't want to. You get what I'm saying? Like,
I got you. I got you. I already know. I already understand.
The saddest part about it is whether we like it or not. That's really part of our black culture today as we talk about it.
yeah,
Right. And that's my biggest deal, and this is why I want to do several conversations about this, is because I'm raising two black boys. And they have to be boyfriends, they have to be husbands, they have to be business owners, they have to be, good citizens. How do I choose pieces of the culture for them to embrace while trying to keep the negative out? And I also have a mixed child. So where does he fit? Because he's not black enough for most, and he's not white enough for most. So he's in this awkward position of what's my culture.
well, we don't have a culture here in America anyway. Like, our culture been lost. So I really don't
Thank
teach my children black culture. I teach my children self-love, right? Know who you
Integrity.
are. Integrity. Yeah. Yeah. When I was in the Air Force, right, they had the Air Force has like 3 core qualities. It's been years, but that shit stuck with me. It's service before self, uh, excellence, was it excellence first? Integrity first, and then excellence in all we do. I ain't been in the Air Force for years. I was in the Air Force back in like 18, well, I was 18, 19 years old. That shit stuck with me. Service before self, integrity first, and excellence in all you do. That's
And
kind of what I put as far as with my children, I start there because that was some real shit to me.
And to be honest with you, Rock, the crazy part is that I didn't learn what integrity was until I was 26 years old when I started with Discount Tire. They had kind of the same kind of core values as what the military had too. You know what I'm saying? And integrity was something. I mean, doing the right thing when nobody's looking. We never. When I grew up, shit. If you ain't looking, shit gonna be took. I mean, that's just being honest. Shit, I'm just being honest. I mean, it's sad, but it's the truth. I mean, that's the culture that we grew up in. But the reality was, once I learned what integrity was, that stuck with me the rest of my life. I knew I wanted to raise my son to have integrity. My son, if they have integrity, that's way more important than a lot of things that they can have. Trust me. Integrity is something that every man does not have.
Yeah. On top of that, and I know we brought relationships into it, and we are talking about what we're teaching our kids. When we merge the two, what's the problem with so many, especially older Black men? You know, you're talking about 50s and up now, with not being able to show affection to their sons, their kids in general, but specifically their sons. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Because now we have a man.
Well, time out. Can we throw a definition on that? Can I ask you to go in depth with that? Because most of the men that I know, I'm 47, and I have a lot of men that's 50. I have no problem with them that was in free world. The ones that I have problems with that was my friends that was locked up that came home. I mean, like I said, I got a friend out here now that, you know, he's trying to mend a relationship with a son that he never knew. He did 27 years in the pen, and it's hard for him to show that kind of affection, that kind of love to his son because he, you know, wasn't around. I mean, I've been around my son my whole life. It's easy for me to walk up and show my son's love and affection and stuff. I mean, it's very easy for me to give it to them. Every time I see them, I hug them and give them and let them know I love them. Period. I mean, that's just me. Ain't no doubt when it comes to me and my son. We give each other love. You know what I'm saying? Period. I mean, because they're my boys. So I mean, I say that's why I asked you. I say because I don't know very many men that actually raise their sons and actually raise them that don't know how to show affection. Not around my circle.
Well, shit.
Well, because I'm a son raised without very much affection from my father. My father was an old school man. He didn't know his father. He grew up being the man of the house. Something broke down in the house, he fixed it. When there was an outhouse need to be dug, he dug it. He doesn't show affection. I can count on my hand how many times I've seen him show affection to my older brother. I can count on one hand how many times he showed it to me in a matter of physical touch, a hug, a pat on the back, things of that nature. If I were to walk up to my father today and hug him, it would make him extremely uncomfortable. He just got to the point probably about 7-8 years ago where me telling him I love you, Dad, and saying it back would make him uncomfortable. Men of that age would just, and he'll be making his 4th or 5th birthday this year. Men of that time were just raised differently. You know, as a man, you didn't cry, you didn't show emotions, you didn't show any type of affection or weakness. Because that could be used against you. You know, they come from a different time. I can definitely say it affected me. It didn't affect me being able to, you know, do it myself because I wanted to be able to do it because, you know, that I longed for, I longed to have. Even to this day, I can say I've never really gotten fatherly advice. Anytime I would go to my father and ask for advice on any one given situation or another, his simple response is, it's your life, son. You got to do whatever you think is right. You got to make your own decisions as a man. So if all the guidance I got when it came to showing affection and having these conversations came from my mother, who's now 4 years past. So it does happen and it does affect you. To kind of get back to your original question, Arbor, of how do you know, what do you shield your sons from with regard to Black culture? I was raised in a 2-parent household. They raised me the right way. They wanted they wanted me to do everything the right way. They showed me the right way to do everything. They put me in private schools. They tried to shield me from the Black culture as a whole. There was no rap music allowed in the household. wasn't allowed. If I got caught watching and listening to it, it was whooping. There was no slang terminology. Ebonics was not allowed in the household.
At all. You
There
would
was,
get hit for that in my house.
yeah, you get a backhand real quick. There was definitely no cursing. There was no sagging your pants. There was none of that inside that house. If you got caught doing it outside the house, if anybody seen it, everybody had the right to beat your ass and then tell your mama about it, and you was gonna get another whooping later.
Man, when your daddy got home, you got your 30.
That kind of backfired though, because I was shielded from something that I saw every day when I entered the world and left that house. My curiosity grew. I could say the best thing that you could probably do is just have conversations with them about everything. Let them know that, yeah, this is present. This is what's going on. Explain and break down to them. This is why I don't want you as a part of that. This is what the consequences are. Because I was shielded from it, and the only excuse I received was because I'm grown and I said so, and it wasn't good enough for me, and I was an extremely rebellious child. One thing about me, nephew was going to do what the hell he wanted to do, regardless of what the consequences are. Take the consequences later, and I'm not going to complain about them, but I'm going to do what the hell I want to do. And, that served me well in some respects, and it did me a disservice in a lot of respects as well. Thomas knows I drove the church crazy. My mother would be in there praying and telling stories about me every week.
Oh Lord, you were a testimony service.
Can I say something to piggyback off? I mean, because I agree with what nephew said. I do know his story a little bit. So, but also, Miss Arbor, as far as your original question with what he said, shielding them, that stuff don't work. When I had the basketball team, a lot of people was real crazy because I was open with my kids. Swab been knowing all my kids. I was open. My kids know I'm open book. I allowed my kids to see the world. I mean, you're going to see the world for what it is. Now, at the same time, me and my wife walked a certain way. You see what I'm saying? Just because the world moved that way don't mean me and your mama move that way. We're going to show you how a husband and wife walk and how we're supposed to move and how you're supposed to act as a man and a woman. Now, and then if you act out of it, you have to understand, Ms. Arbor, they're going to grow up and they're going to be who they are. There's nothing you're going to do to change that. Now, you can shield them from it, and they ain't going to change it. When they get out there, like he said, nephew's a man. So with that being said, he got out there and got wild for a minute, and he reeled himself back in because he's a man. Everybody don't do that. Some people get out there and get wild and they never come back. You know what I'm saying? But the reality of it is
that come back.
Bro. Huh?
I said it's a lot to come back. Coming from a woman's perspective. Because my parents were together. Like I said, they didn't separate till after I graduated high school. So I was, always raised with a 2-parent household, very religious. I didn't get to do sports and go to dances and like any of that shit. But when I got a car and I got some time, there wasn't nothing I didn't do.
Yeah.
And that's I didn't know what was out there. I wanted to try it all. I wanted that freedom. And some stuff I still haven't gone back to. But, after doing a lot of dumb stuff, I had to reel it in. Especially once I had kids, you have to decide what you're going to change about yourself because you don't want them to follow in those footsteps. You don't want them to have all those hurts. Now, they're going to because they're kids and they want to try shit. But where I'm at now, especially with my 13-year-old, is, yep, this is what it is. This is really fun, but it's probably not going to serve you well later. So if you get to that point where you're thinking about it, let's talk about it. Let's figure out if there's a way to do it.
I do know that the biggest thing that me and my wife did have with our kids was called an open door policy. Mm-hmm. That means our door is always open for conversation on whatever it is you want to talk about. Now, with that being said, raising girls, that wasn't always what you wanted to talk about. I'll be honest. Like I say, my girls are probably going to kill me for this story, but I'm about to tell, but it's all good. When I found out that my girls have lost their virginity, my niece came and told my wife, And I came home, my wife told me, and they kind of lost at the same time. They all went out and did the same time type stuff. You know what I'm saying? So when they came home, I sit them all down. You know what I'm saying? And I had to talk with them. You know, I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to chase behind you to make sure that you're not getting your cat wet. I'm not going to do that. What I can tell you is, man, is that, if a boy wants you, then he needs to find a place that be appropriate to have sex with you. And what I mean by that is he don't need to come to my house having sex or his mom and them house having sex. He might need to go get him a room. If he can't afford no room, he probably ain't worth having your pussy. And I left it at that. And I'll be honest with you. As far as sex, we really didn't have much sex issues. My kids said they really didn't want to go have sex as much no more because the point about having sex was sneaking out and going to do it. And that's the honest truth. Most of my like Brianna just started doing all that when she got in her 20s. Brianna pretty much shut it down when she was a teenager. I thought it was crazy. I wasn't trying reverse psychology, but she was cool with it because, like I told her, I mean, as parents, we can only do so much. We can raise them and tell them we don't want. When we was growing up, like Suave said, it was fear. They told us you have sex, you going to hell type shit. You know what I'm saying? That's how the old culture. That's how our grandparents raised. You have sex outside of wedlock, you going to hell. You lie, you going to hell. I mean, that's type of stuff. You curse, you going to hell. We couldn't do none of that stuff when we was growing up. My kids, when they got to a certain age, I let them express themselves sometimes. You know what? If you had a bad day and you need to get it off, get it off. Let me hear it. You know what I'm saying? I'm your outlet. That's what I'm here for. I'm your dad. I'm supposed to be taking care of you. I'm supposed to be able to listen to all that bullshit. But I'm just saying, raising them, you could teach them. You could try to keep everything out like you want. Just like Swan said, he was raised in a strict household. That didn't mean he didn't go see the shit he wanted to go see and what he wanted to look at. He still watched the videos he wanted to watch. He still listened to music that he wanted to listen to. He just didn't do it in their presence.
We learned to live a double life early.
Oh, yeah.
And we got real good at it because, even now I can catch myself when I'm in my mother's presence. I'm not cursing. I'm not, drinking excessively, smoking, and, just being ratchet. Let's just break it down like that. I'm not ratchet in front of my mom. She still thinks I'm a good girl.
So I had to let this shit go.
We're gonna let her think that. But no, that's a respect issue for me. But she knows that I'm not going to follow her rules or her mama's rules before her because that generational stuff and that really bothers me about the black culture.
Oh, but did you say did you still say she thinks she was a good girl?
Yes.
After 2 kids? That ass done been took up a couple of times. She don't realize that?
I was married.
That don't mean shit. She got to realize good girls, just because you married don't mean you ain't a bad girl. That's the best part about it. You married, you can be as bad as you want to be.
See,
she don't realize she's still a good girl.
That part didn't matter at all. For my family, it was more so about what people thought of you outside of the home.
Oh, okay.
When you walked out of those doors, you put on that Dog and Pony show, and we were the perfect family. We were the Huxtables in this piece. But what happened in our house stayed in our house situation was how it was, and I busted that whole door down as soon as I could when I got out. And that's what I'm trying to do differently. Like my son goes to the same church my mom goes to, but I don't. And he's welcome to go wherever he wants. But now I've given him the space to see that people can do it differently and still be okay. Because I don't want that generational, well, this is the only place my mom was going and this is what I've always done before. I don't like that because that keeps you in a pattern of being uneducated, being, not able to have financial responsibility, the cycle of bad relationships, all of that.
I think that's a beautiful thing that you allow him to go to whatever one he feels comfortable, because nobody knows this, but that's actually how we ended up over at SAC, which was South Arlington Community, before it became New Life over there with Thomas and them. The church that we went to was the church that my grandfather went to and his father went to, which was Community Christian Church there, church over on the hill over there on the south side, right there on Riverside. We went there up until Pastor got sick. Pastor Morgan got sick, and then we tried new churches. We went over to First St. John. My mother loved it there. I hated it because I hated it. We went looking for another church, and we went to visit a few. We went to over to TD Jakes church for a little bit. Went to IBOP, tried them all out. Then came over to SAC, and at that point in time, they was having church in the YMCA. We both loved it to death, and that's how we ended up staying. Because that was the first place I went where I actually felt welcome. Now that helped me out a lot in my younger life. It helped reel me in a little bit because I was a wild child. To say the least. And
6 months ago, you know.
Huh?
I said I think they carried over a little bit up until about 6 months ago. But
man, to be honest with you, I'm an angel now compared to who I was back then.
That's scary.
Yeah. I'll be honest, and I feel pretty proud because I was part of the youth ministry when he came over there. So I feel like I'm part of the reason why he was welcomed. You know what I'm saying? Like for real. Like Mike came into church and he fit like right in. Well, to me he fit right in. I don't know how everybody else felt, but to me he fit right in. He was kind of from the neighborhood, and then on top of that he was funny. He just enjoyed himself. He was just a different person. Now he was wild. He was crazy and he had his fun, but he was Mike. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, to me, he fit in from the day he walked into church.
Yeah.
So what do y'all do now as adults, especially, if you are not living in the same place that you've been raised in? How do you find that you feel represents you and you feel comfortable being a part of?
Well, I can't say anything. I'm still in the same area I was at when I was young. So I've been the east side of Fort Worth all my life.
I really, to be honest, I really don't find any comfort in the things that used to represent me in the places that I used to be and the life that I used to live. There's no comfort in it for me, because I experienced all of it, the ups, the downs, the goods, the bads, the ugly, and I just knew, like, regardless of everything I did when I was in the streets and I ripping and running and running in people's houses and just doing a bunch of dumb shit. I always knew I didn't want to be Mike from the neighborhood my whole life. I had bigger dreams. I had bigger aspirations than that. I knew I was bigger, the situations that we came from. And so I knew that I was never going to be fully comfortable there. I was actually miserable when I was in those situations, as long as I stayed in them, which is about, to the age of about 22 when I decided to leave Fort Worth. Because when I became grown 2 years afterwards, when I was actually a year after, once I turned 19, I moved right back to Stop 6 and had my own house over there, and was back living in the hood, just doing the same little shit I was been doing growing up.
What made you get out of it?
Because I always wanted better for myself. I knew I was bigger than it. And to be honest with you, because this is a safe place for me, I was faced with a decision. There was some guys that I was close with that violated me in a way that I took very personally, and I had two options. It was kill 9 people or to leave Fort Worth. I chose the latter. So I decided to move to Austin and try and change my life. And for the better. It was a struggle, so I left a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,500 square foot house that I had all to myself to go sleep on my brother's couch in Austin, Texas, on the love seat. It wasn't even a couch. My arms and legs hung off the ends of it. It wasn't even big enough for me.
But I'm glad you did.
I am too, but it was a lot. It was rough. It was rough. It was a rough transition, but it was necessary. But that was internal. I knew I wanted something more for myself. And I was just blessed enough to have somebody that'd be willing to give me that opportunity.
Yeah, I just did that in 2017. I separated, moved out of my hometown, which I'd moved out of my hometown a few times, but you always get sucked back in somehow.
Mm-hmm.
But I moved with 2 kids, with no job, just kids in a car and enough stuff to put in a storage unit, and slept on my sister's blow-up mattress for 7 months because I couldn't stand being town mediocre. This is the best life's got for me person. And if you could stay there and build your own business and all that kind of stuff, that's great. But I knew I had more in me than what was going to be offered there. Because I was doing great for myself there. I had 3-bedroom house in the white neighborhood, the fenced-in backyard, the cars, the kids, the dog. I had all that, but that was all I was ever going to get. Yeah. No college degree, making more than $20 an hour. What else could you ask for? And I walked away from it all because that was settling for me. And I didn't want to be a part of, and I got teased and bullied anyway because I was the Oreo all through school. So I didn't feel like I fit anyway. I didn't have a culture because I wasn't allowed to use Ebonics. I loved school. I had high school credits in middle school and college credits in high school, and I finished college in my junior year. I was the nerd. So I didn't fit in anybody's culture. So how do you take where you've been and find your people?
Well, let me say this. I haven't left my neighborhood, but I definitely has always tried to be a difference in my neighborhood. From what I grew up and from who I was, like Mike said, I definitely, when I was young, I was definitely trouble. You know what I'm saying? I definitely, when somebody put a pistol in my hand, that was the worst thing. That's why I put a pistol down many years ago, and I try not to pick them up that much as possible. But I knew the same way Mike said it, I knew I didn't want to be Thomas from the neighborhood, especially when my best friend got 240 years. When I seen him get sentenced to 240 years, I didn't want to be Thomas from the neighborhood no more. I didn't want to be Tomcat no more. Tomcat did not want to be. Yeah, 240 years. My friend's been locked up for 27 years, be 28 years this February.
Wow. So what did you do to become a positive influence for your area?
Well, you have to understand, I was there when gangs was introduced to Fort Worth. I never became a gang member because I had friends on both sides. When I was young in my marriage, even when I was with Brianna's mom, my house was always a neutral zone. I had friends on both sides. You can come in my house and we can sit down and play video games. You might be sitting there with two G's from two different sets. I don't give a damn what you do that ain't going on in my house. I've always been that man by standard. I've always lived that way. Even when Mike even induced me, Mike will tell you I'm in the church, but the same way I am today is the same way I was in the church. You get Thomas the way he is. I'm the same Thomas. I never change. I've never changed.
A little scary.
Now,
that's a little bit scary.
I know I'm not the person.
You're cutting out. Rock, how you feeling about it?
I don't know.
And you've had the military experience, so you've gotten to see different places and other cultures. How has that affected you?
No, in the military, I didn't last long in the military. Yeah, nah. But I will say this. I was born in Mississippi. I was raised in California. My dad raised me. Huh?
So that's night and day different.
Oh yeah. I didn't really know about well, like I said, I was born there, but my mom left my dad. I was like 2 months old. My dad raised me for 2 months up until we moved back to Mississippi. But I pretty much lived in California from a young kid up until my junior year in high school. Then we moved back to Mississippi. I left Mississippi, went to the military, was stationed in Vegas. And then back to Mississippi. I
used to live across the street from Nellis. I lived on Algiers, right across the street.
Yep. Nellis. I had a little spot across the street from Nellis. They got some apartments right there, right now.
Mm-hmm. Right behind PT's?
It's like when you go through that main gate, they got some apartments across the street. It's a gas station right there.
Then the little bar that sideways on that strip, that was PT's. I used to go in there all the time because they wouldn't card me because I wasn't legal yet.
Well, see, yeah, I didn't get carded nowhere because I was military and I was a fireman. So, yeah, it was a culture change. That's the culture change. You know, California was way different from Mississippi. Like, I don't think I learned what racism was until I left California and went to Mississippi.
There's a lot of racism in California, and you didn't experience any?
Not like Mississippi.
Well, I mean, they were probably still Asian people.
Yeah, not like Mississippi. But I will say Mississippi's not. It's different, man. It's different. It's there in Mississippi. You know it's there, but it's not. It's not like the movies type shit. You get what I'm saying? If it makes sense, it ain't as bad as we like to think it is. It is bad though. It depends on where you at. It's bad, but it's not. It's not like how most people think. Like, you from Mississippi, like, I know they hang your head quick. It ain't like that. Where you gotta be home.
Burning crosses in your front yard.
Nah. You know what? And there's a lot of racist motherfuckers in Mississippi, but at the same time, that Southern hospitality shit is real. You know what I mean? Like, you know they racist, right? But some of them will still treat you. I work with a racist man. His name was Cornbread. But that motherfucker picked me up for work every day. It didn't make sense. He picked me up from work and he took me home every day. Racist as hell.
Yeah, what I have found over the years is a lot of people who are racist are selectively racist.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah. As long as you ain't popping your daughter down.
Well, you know. As a female, that wasn't a problem. I could do what I wanted because we are that taboo thing that they're not supposed to have, so they want it.
Yeah.
That was never the problem. It was just, as long as you weren't that loud, ghetto, bonquiqui-ish type chick, I can maneuver anywhere.
Right.
No, I came up in a different time. Yeah, shit. My family was racist. Shit. They didn't accept me and I was black, period. Well, no ifs, ands, buts about it. And back then I wasn't allowed anything. I was just kids. I was a baby. So racist to me, with the racist people that I know, they racist. They don't like black people, period. And they let you know by the way they move, period. Now, I know this new generation different.
That leads me into another question. Why the fuck is it such a tension between black people? Because black people are more racist than anybody else sometimes.
Well,
I've always told the good hair and nappy hair. Like, we find all kinds of shit to nitpick at each other for.
But I heard I was told that black men can't be racist. That he's what's the other word they call it? I got it. I think of it. Quick, Rock. Huh?
Prejudice.
Prejudice. I mean, well, prejudice is kind of racist too. I guess prejudice will work. I mean, yeah. But I mean, racist. A racist is a different thing. When you look at a racist is also a sexist. When them men of racism back in the days was racist, they didn't like women having any more rights, and like they didn't want black people to have rights. So they just as much as a sexist as a racist. With that being said, I mean, it's a different thing. Like I said, when it comes to racism, it's different to me. You know what I'm saying? Racist is just it's a whole other cutthroat thing to me.
Okay. So how do you feel about the irritation between African people not liking American black people? Certain black people from certain areas don't like black people from other areas. Skin tone, hair type, eye color. Like, we find things to pick about. What is that?
find those things to think about it, that's deep rooted. That shit is embedded in us. It's gonna forever be like that. That's the way it was designed to be, and it's mental, and it's over almost 500 years of it, being pushed into mind control is real.
Oh,
People
absolutely.
don't believe that shit. They've been doing this shit since before slavery. It's all control, and it's just so deep into us. It's passed on. It's generational. The way we hate each other is generational, right? The way
Absolutely.
I can, the way I can look at another black man and fear him, and he fear me. That's generational. That's some shit that was placed upon us, as far as a means of control. You know what I mean? They had to do that shit because if just say we back, I'm just gonna use slavery. But if we was in slavery times and me and Suave got along, me and Suave might plan to get up out this motherfucker. I mean, Suave Thomas, shit, it's 100 of us. It's only 6 of them white motherfuckers. We can really get up out of here. You know what I mean? But they put a fear in us that we fear each other. We don't trust each other, and that allowed them to control us. And it's
But
just,
can I ask you a question, though, Rock? Don't most of us feed into our own culture? I mean, don't we? Ain't we disloyal to each other? Ain't we untrustworthy to each other? I mean, don't we just sit up and talk about each other? Don't we sit up here and downgrade each other? Don't we do exactly what they want us to do? I mean,
that's what I'm
that's the
saying.
worst
That's
part.
what I'm saying.
Like,
That's,
yeah, I just can't do it. I can't talk down on nobody like that.
no, I get it. I get it what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that's that is the culture for black people worldwide because that's the way it's always been. We were separated. African people don't look at us like we're Africans because they feel like we're not, right? We're American to them, which most, from my understanding, most of them don't really care for American, period. They, it, I don't know if they feel like we don't relate because we didn't go through the things that they did or that they do in Africa. I don't know. Just like we look at them crazy as hell. If I tell a black man, I tell a black person I wanted to go to Africa today, they thought I was tripping. I said, what the fuck? Why would you not want to go to Africa? I don't know. It's embedded in us, man.
I'll say this about that. It was very much so that way. And if we're talking about the older generation of Africans who are, 50 and up, they absolutely feel that way about us. But being fortunate enough to have access to this club app and interact with people from all over the globe, the younger generation doesn't feel that way. So really, if we're talking millennials and down, they're really different.
Now, you know what? I actually was involved with a girl, African, and yeah, they still feel the same. She's young. She was younger than me. She's probably 28, 29, and they definitely feel that way. Listening to her and her, she's hella smart, right? And she even speaks. She speaks a couple languages, and just listen to her experiences and things she went through, and moving around and what she wants out of life, and her future plans and where she, what direction she's headed in. They definitely feel that way, which is weird, but some do, not all.
Yeah,
Not all.
it had to because now do they feel some things about us that are valid? They feel the valid things about us that we don't have any sense of culture, of our true culture, which we don't. But that we don't have any self-respect because we don't. If we're being honest, us as black people in America, we don't have self-respect. We don't value ourselves. We don't value our fathers and mothers. We don't carry ourselves in ways that are beneficial. A lot of them grow up over in Africa with nothing, next to nothing. They feel like we're lazy, which we are. We have access to everything we could ever fucking want in the world, and we do absolutely nothing to obtain it and blame everybody else for it.
But you know what too? They give them the access is here, and it's limited to us, whether we look at it like that or not. Not
Well,
all of us
now,
are going to be able to get everything that they have out there. But coming from Africa and coming from these other places, other countries and shit, they'll give Africans with a visa all kind of shit before they'll give it to
but
Thomas
do you know
Fort Worth.
who you be to get a
Not
visa? You have to be someone very, very wealthy and influential over in Africa to get a visa to come over here. Because one of my good friends
from America to go and help you get one, because that's what my dad has done 3 times. Because he adopted a daughter from Africa, and then he's brought his his second wife, and now he's working on his third.
Yeah,
But
you have connections and power to get over here from Africa, and like I'm saying, like you understand, there's a lot of places in Africa that still don't have running water.
That's true.
They have nothing, next to nothing, and they see us over here. See, we can say there's a lot of things that we have limited access to, but one thing we got this here. We got this here internet. Y'all still see me?
No.
I can hear you though.
No, I can hear you though.
With my dad's first wife from Ghana, she actually from a really wealthy family. Her father was a pharmacist and all this good stuff, right? But even in their version of wealth, they didn't have anything. Like, there's a certain time of day where they turn off electricity and TV and all of this stuff, and you just have to chill, which was really weird to me, you know. And him sending her $600 would last her for months, because everything is a different thing there. And he's talking about moving to Nigeria because with just his small funds, he could live like a king over there. So it's definitely weird. It's definitely a thing. But when it came to our Black culture here, we don't even pay attention to what other cultures are doing that's winning.
Right.
Like, if you say what culture is good at math, what culture is good at sports, Olympic sports, or things like that. Like, everybody has something that's going on, but what do we have? I got you, Thomas. What do we have to show for ourselves? What are we presenting ourselves? And my very episode on Spiritually Ratchet was about WAP. And this is what we're putting out as our culture. This is what they're saying. And like Brian said, he said that the stereotypes have become reality. If that's what everybody sees, if all they see are the Cardi B's and all these little rapper guys, especially all the 1,800 of them that have been shot in the last 3 months, they lump us in. Perception is reality. If this is what y'all put on TV, and the people with, no teeth that are on the news talking about what happened in the neighborhood, they think that's how all Black people are. So what do we do to change that?
That's the $1 million question. That is the $1 million question.
Absolutely.
Personally, I believe the only way to change it is to completely separate and isolate ourselves from white supremacy, which is going to continue to feed us these same imageries and this same way of thinking and logic. But a lot of people don't agree with that. Me personally, I feel like desegregation was the worst thing that could ever happen to Black people. At least it happened far too soon. I believe if maybe we had a military system, our own police system in place prior to, then we'd have been okay. But it happened far too soon.
And have our own communities and our, Black Wall Street. That was a whole area of, Black financial wealth, healthcare. All of that was there. What did they do? They came in and burned that shit down.
Because what did we had everything where we needed except for a means to protect it.
Even though, and then, like you said, desegregation, man, back then, the black communities and the black families were strong. That's how the Panthers was able to thrive, because we were strong. When they started all that segregation shit, we became weak. We gave up what we had. We gave up all of ours for a piece of theirs that was going to be handed out, issued out to us. I agree with 100% with that. I say that all the time. That's why Martin got killed. Martin realized what was going on. And by the time he realized it, it was too late. That's why he got killed. They knew they lost. They knew they couldn't control him no more. And if they couldn't control him, they couldn't control the people that he had control over. So he had to go. And after he left,
it wasn't the white people that killed Malcolm.
Well, they had a lot to do with it. But I'm talking about, if I said Malcolm, I meant Martin.
No,
the same thing with Malcolm.
I'm saying, as opposed to Malcolm, who was, he was the threat to white America at that point in time. What was the reason for black people to be so involved with the killing of Malcolm?
Malcolm got killed because of his influence and jealousy amongst black people and manipulation. That the government most definitely manipulated that whole play on the back end. They knew what was going to happen. They knew exactly who did it. They was following Malcolm everywhere. They was following all of them. They had wiretaps everywhere. But that's all it is. Malcolm knew something that a lot of people would never want to admit. He saw some things in what he believed and in who he believed in that he was taught, and it changed him as a man. And that person felt threatened by what Malcolm knew, and also felt threatened about Malcolm's potential. Right? And one thing about black people is we want to see everybody do good, just not better than us. I want to see you do good, but you got to do good with me. I want you to have love, but you got to have love with me. If you can't do it with me, you can't have that shit. That's our culture.
Until you pull me up. And it's, don't leave me here. Remember where you came from. Da 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 da. Don't forget who made you and blah blah blah. Well, you know what? If I stay in the same fucking situation in the same fucking neighborhood as you, how am I going to help you out? I got to get out. I have to go and learn how to play the game. And that was one of the best things that I think I've ever done, was to put myself in a position to learn their game. And baby, I have no worries. I can play with the best of them, and they love me. So why don't more people understand that and go play the game? I didn't sell out. You know how many other people I put on game? That's what I'm here for. I'm the one that says, okay, this is what they do. This is how you can get in. Behave yourself like this, talk like this, think like this, so that you understand where they're getting their wealth, so that you understand why it's generational. Understand that when Hispanics and Indians come over, they don't kick their family out of the house at 18. You got 18 generations of them in the same house. So everybody's paying $5 a month for the whole shebang, and they're stacking bread. And then what? They're buying businesses.
Yeah.
They're getting loans for millions because
I seen a family turn a 2-bedroom house, like literally 2 bedrooms. And I wouldn't even say 2-bedroom. I mean like a living room and a bedroom that they made a bedroom, but a 2-bedroom house into like a 6-bedroom. All they did was buy that motherfucker and build onto it, and then and once they bought them, they bought the ones next to them. Yep. You get what I'm saying? Like I seen that. So the next thing you know, it's a whole block of one family. You know what I mean? They bringing all the people over.
I had a very interesting conversation with a Hispanic family that explained to me how they got the things that they got, because they're all millionaires now. They all own multiple different businesses and have multiple homes. The way they went about it is it was 6 of them. They all lived under the same roof. They all worked the job. They all put their money in the pot.
Yep.
They worked until their first house was paid off. Well, that's pop. And then they bought another one, and they all worked and put all their money, including Papo that already had his house. They continued their cycle, paid off the next house. That's Mama's house. And they did that 6 times till everybody had their own house. And then you know what once everybody had their own house, you know what they did? They bought a business and paid that off, paid the loan for the business off.
Yes.
Well, that's all business. And then they did it over and over and over again till everybody had their own house and their own fully functioning business.
Yep.
You can't convince black people.
Have you seen
10 days?
Say it again.
Said you can't convince black folk to do that. So that somebody gonna start stealing money or doing some unloyal shit 10 days in.
Oh yeah. They can't get along. You cook the chicken too light and she likes it burnt, and they will find any reason to get pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
Or her job pays more than mine, but why do I have to still put in the same amount of money and blah, blah, blah. They're going to create a fucking problem. One of the things that I did love, and I had Hispanic neighbors, and when I tell you I wanted for nothing when it came to them, like anything I wanted, I could go over there and fall asleep under their coffee table, and they just let my mom know she's over here. And I had neighbors on both sides that I could do that, and it was never a problem. It didn't matter the color or the culture. But in their wedding receptions, when I tell you they come in like bosses, a couple gets married, they come in with a refrigerator, they come in with new mattresses, they come in with washers and dryers. They set you up with everything you need to start your life as a family. Yeah. Even though you might be living with other people, you already have it. Just put it in storage or sell it and get the money, whatever it is you need to do, because they want to put you in the right position. Ask your black mama to help you put a down payment on a house.
Good luck.
And the moment she has to let you borrow money, you're an indentured servant for the next 15 years, even though you paid her off 5 minutes later. You remember that time I gave you money? What are you going to do with it? How are you going to spend it? When am I going to get it back? How did you get this microwave when you owe me money?
Mm-hmm. Man, I promise I think my daddy named me after him just for my credit.
So he could latch onto your credit?
That's the only reason he named me after him, because kind of like what Swab said, you talked about it earlier. Shit, my dad raised me, man, but at the same time, shit, I didn't know what the fuck love was. My daddy stayed around the corner from me right now. I don't remember the last time my daddy told me he loved me. I go over there, I see him, we see each other, we kick it, we talk, we smile, have a good time. Like, all right, nigga, I see you later. Shit, all right, I see you later. That's what it is.
And see, and I have the opposite experience. It isn't until recently that my moms, and because I was adopted, but both of my moms are black, I didn't get the I love yous. I didn't get the hugs and the kisses. They didn't comb my hair. You know, they didn't teach me how to shave and all this feminine shit. But my dad, when I tell you that man walks on water, even in my 30s, he will drive, because he was in Atlanta, he'll drive 12 hours for a day surgery where I'm only in the hospital for about 3 hours. Just to sit with me. He drove 12 hours to sit with me when my son was having a day surgery and his father didn't show up. Like, there was never a day where he didn't say he loved me. My favorite thing was he'd always sit me in his lap and tell me I was his pride and joy. And everybody knew it, and they actually didn't tell me about who my dad really was until like I was in my 30s. And I started going and visiting family by myself because they didn't ever want me to think negatively of my dad. They wanted me to form my own opinion of him, because now I know he was kind of trifling in a lot of whole ways. And I can say I got it honest. It wasn't by blood, it was by nurture. But yeah. Hearing people who don't have a good daddy experience is so weird for me.
Yeah. And it's funny because I can, when you hear me say like I was raised by my father, single father, right? It sounds like some honorable ass shit. And at the same time, it was rough as hell. Right?
Loving you is hard, I'm sure.
Nah, yeah, loving who, me? Most
Yeah.
definitely. Most definitely. But I get it from my daddy. And
Yeah.
I know
I definitely found out trying to get married and love a man, you have to know what their history is, because sometimes they don't have the capacity to love you enough to match what you're used to. They can love you with all of them, but all of them is not what you're used to. It's like they're wrapped in saran wrap and they can only reach this far when you're not and you have your arms wide open. It's just not the same. And
that love is not, because that's more. I'm more loving than people think, and that's my biggest problem I have with these motherfuckers. And when they see that shit, they run with it and they take advantage of that shit. Because
so y'all are the type of guys that give more than what you receive.
Exactly. I grew up needing to be loved and wanting to be loved. Right. I didn't have no mother. I have a mother, but she didn't raise me. Right. She was in another state. My daddy raised me. Women in and out. I never had learned a love from a woman. Okay. I never knew that shit. Right. And then my dad, who provided so much, was always at work. And then when he was home, it was. Have you ever seen the movie Full Metal Jacket?
Mm-hmm.
You know the first couple minutes of that movie? My dad was that white man. That was my dad. He came home to whip ass and take names, go to sleep and go back to work. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I got that shit. And the only time that I can barely remember, nigga, I graduated high school. I don't even remember him telling me he was proud of me when I graduated high school.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So I've always wanted family and I've always wanted love. Right. So if I love you, I'll go above and beyond. I'll take a whole lot of shit. That's my weakest. That's one of my weakest attributes about myself that I feel is weak. As strong as I am, once I open up to you, because I know I'm built for shit, right? I know I'm built to last. I be hurt, but I know I'm built to last. I'm the type where I think like I got enough love for the both of us. That's how it was with my ex anyway. Even though I started noticing shit, I thought that I got enough for both of us, and it'll work out sooner or later. When I probably should have closed the door a lot sooner than later.
But, I love you for thinking that. That's an amazing quality, especially from someone who receive as much love as they probably needed or wanted. But that's not healthy.
Right. I know it's not healthy. That's why I said I probably should have left a lot sooner than later. But that's what I was thinking. That was my thought. Again, I didn't see that. I didn't have no example of that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. My dad was married a couple times. Shit, I ain't never been around no married family. I don't even know none of my partners who had married families. How many partners your partners, families was, mother and daddy were married? I don't know none.
All of mine were.
I don't have any partners whose mom and dad, like mom and dad, are married. I know like a mom who got a stepdad. I know a nigga with stepdad who been there for a while, right? I know one of my partners' dad is, my mama's got, daddy's got a wife or a couple wives. My dad's had a couple wives, and they, I ain't never seen it, so I ain't know how to be married. You know what I'm saying? I was learning, but I wouldn't.
Bob, you haven't been married. What's your take on that?
As far as having, I grew up. I had two friends whose parents were married. But they both ended up getting divorced probably within a year of one another. So of all my friends, I was the only person whose parents were still married.
Hey, you know what's weird, Suave? When I came up, if you came from a 2-parent household, like your mama and daddy was still together, nigga, you was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's real shit though. You was weird. You was like, it was like some old goofy ass shit. There'd be nigga, you live with your mama and daddy. Like, nigga, what?
You still got both parents. Like,
You know, I felt really bad getting divorced because my dad stayed. Even though now I know that he wanted to leave, he waited until I was old enough to move out.
mm-hmm.
So I always had both parents in the house. And when I couldn't do that, when I couldn't tolerate the life that I was living for my kids, I felt like a failure. Because if he could do it, surely I can. Now, the first one, that don't count because I was, trying not to die. But, the second one, it was, I really felt horrible that I was going to leave my kids without a father in the home. And, my dad did it and he did it way back then and shit was worse then and blah, blah, blah. And then I turned around and looked at it and I'm like, but did I want them living in that household and seeing that example?
Exactly.
And it was better to come from a broken home and heal my kids while they were little than them think that is what couples do.
Exactly.
That's how men treat women because, I will lay hands on my children the moment they start to act like that. I need my kids to know I will come from the grave and hurt them.
And I think, because, around that time, all my friends' parents got divorced. My parents were very close on one themselves. But one thing I applaud them for is there was never a point in time where the kids were allowed in grown folks' business. They didn't have these conversations around the kids. They did not yell at one another around us. Nothing of that nature. When there was shit going on, we was completely in the dark about it. We were allowed and had the freedom to just be kids.
Yes.
And I don't know anybody else's parents that set that same example or raise their kids the same way. And I kind of see the differences now in the relationships, just with like the friend circle that I have growing up. And I have a wide arrangement of different friends from different backgrounds, but none of them seem to have had that same structure. And that's something I want to provide for my kids, because I see the differences in how people interact and how they take that into their future relationships.
Absolutely. I can say, especially with my youngest, because me and his dad were in the same room for the first time that he's ever noticed. And, I was talking to his dad and he just looked at us both so completely confused. And he's 5. He was so completely confused and went, "Do you know my mom?" And he asked me, "How do you know my dad?" And the only thing I could do was laugh and go, "Yeah, we've met before. I know him." Because I wasn't trying to explain it, but we have split in such a way that it has not affected them. They don't miss having the other parent in the house. They don't know that they're missing anything. They just think this is normal. So I haven't ruined their outlook on what a married couple should look like, if that makes any sense.
Makes perfect sense.
All right, so we're almost at 1:30. What would you tell somebody right now to do for this upcoming generation, or their kids or whatever? And I got one climbing on me. What should they do to help the culture?
Hi. Hi.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing, little man?
Oh, I'm Isaiah.
Isaiah?
And there's my mom.
And that's your mom?
He's
Um,
our
I know she's probably really, really annoying sometimes, right?
and her. Can you take off that?
Mm-mm.
Is your hair in it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a weird.
Wait, it glowed.
Yeah, it did.
And why have that on?
Because I didn't want it in my face.
Why in your face?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Can I finish real quick?
Can I see?
I can now. Can I finish talking to them?
Uh-huh.
All right. I'll talk to you in a minute.
What? I want to touch your hair.
No, you can touch my hair in a minute.
Bye.
Say bye.
You know what? I was waiting for him to pull that off.
He can't. I know better. He can't.
I was looking. I was like, he finna pull it off, Eddie.
I got a whole sew in. I know better than that. Mr. Brian said hi, Isaiah.
That is funny.
He ran by and said hi. Yeah, my kids are awesome. The only thing is I can't beat me out of them. So like the smart mouth and the quick comebacks that shouldn't come from kids, they pop off with. And I have a bad problem about laughing. So you really can't like punish them and laugh at the same time. So
yeah,
I'm working on it.
No, I got that problem too. What I do is I laugh and then I bring your ass here.
Like you gotta go outside of the room. Sometimes you just gotta walk. What'd you say, Swap?
Oh, I didn't say anything.
All right, so let's give these people some advice and we can get out of here so I can take a nap. Or apparently let him play with my hair some more.
I don't know. I'm in a crazy mind state where I really can't even get my thoughts together right now. So I'm gonna let Suave have it.
Oh, y'all gonna come to Suave for advice, huh? Well, hold on a second.
This is oh Lord, he got to Jesus.
So yeah, I'm already halfway done. I just started today. That's advice, don't do that.
It's been a drinking week for y'all.
Man, you just don't know. Man. The best advice I can give, and this is honestly and truly the best advice I can give. And it sounds so cliche and it sounds so corny when you say it, but when you really think deeply on it, it works. You gotta move and you gotta operate in love. When love is the motivation behind any action that you do, it can change everything. You know, when I was younger, I moved out of hate and fear a lot. If you was staring at me too long, I felt like you know me, you was trying to do something to me, you trying to hurt me, you know. And so I had a mean face on the fuck you looking at and all that. Now moving out of love for other black men, I know it's okay for me. You know what? If I see you looking at me too long, that might be your first reaction is to go to that, but I know it's okay. I love you. You another black man. I'm gonna speak to you. How you doing, brother? I'm gonna reach out and I'm gonna shake your hand because I want you to know it's okay for us to love one another. It's okay for us to look at each other and not the first thing to be antagonistic with one another.
Yes, Lord.
So I'm gonna initiate that. I'm gonna show you. So then when you next time you in the situation, maybe you'll remember me and you'll do the same thing. When interacting with our women, which is not easy. It's not even close to easy. It's probably the furthest thing from easy I've ever done in my life.
But we love y'all.
You know what? I'm more scared of black women than I am scared of black men.
Boy, preach.
That's gonna be a whole nother show because I'm gonna need an explanation on that.
Man, say we need 5 shows to completely explain it.
Best part about having my own show, we can do it.
We can do that. Yeah, moving in love. One of the biggest things that I learned, and I learned from my mother, A lot of people don't know this. Up until the age of 21, me and my mother could not stand one another. We ended up becoming the bestest friends in the world. But if you told them about our past, which is very jaded, if we didn't have to speak to one another, we would not do it. There would be months that would go by if we didn't have to say no more than "Did you do your homework and did you clean up the kitchen?" Like I said, we wouldn't have a conversation. Um, it wasn't until I turned 20, going on 21, and I was back home in the house for a little bit. I wouldn't be back in the house, but I was back around her. We would start to get in those arguments that got very, very heated and loud, and I would yell and scream at my mother. I would even cuss at her sometimes. I would never call her out her name because I knew I would die, but I would definitely cuss sometimes.
I'm still scared to do that.
And she would, yeah, I know. But once I stopped being scared once I got to a certain point in high school, because like that, I'm gonna call your father, didn't scare me no more. Cause my mom said was that nigga can't whoop me, but when he let me know he'll shoot me, things changed just a little bit.
I wasn't worried about my dad. I had him wrapped. So
man, not mine. That nigga wasn't wrapped around nobody. I told you the nigga didn't give hugs, so he ain't have no reservations about taking your ass out this world. So
my me.
Shit. When we started getting into those arguments when I got older, she would stop before she even got too riled up. She would say, "You know what, Michael? I love you. I love you to death. You're my baby. And I'm not going to argue with you because I do love you. And I'll talk to you later." And then I would walk away feeling guilty that I even raised my voice at her.
Yeah.
Which you should.
Why did I even do that? This wasn't even that serious. She wasn't giving me that type of energy. Why did I take it there? And I think the motivation of moving with love, and over time that changed me, and that's how we got close, was because she moved in love when I was moving out of anger and hate. Move with love. Even when offended, still move with love. You can lovingly separate yourself from someone. Everything doesn't have to be a mean, nasty parting. There's an old saying about you don't burn your bridges because you never know when you're gonna have to cross it again.
Yeah.
We don't have, that's something that only we know how to do. Well, we feel necessary to do. Because just like you said, when playing the game, because I exist in the same world that you did, it's a game. Half these, when we talking about white people, 90% of them don't like one another. But you'll never know it because they're going to play that game every day of the week.
And they will join together against other people.
Against other people. They will join with people they can't stand just to get somebody else that they equally can't stand as much out the way.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to know how to play the game. And I hate to say it like we're playing the game with one another, but that's almost what it got to be until we get to where we need to be. Because if you do enough, it becomes second nature.
Muscle memory is real.
Yeah.
What about you, Rock?
What happened? No, I was gonna let Swan have it. He got it tonight. He got it. I tell you, my thoughts is just everywhere right now.
Well, we'll discuss all that later.
The moving out of love, because, or I'm not even going to use the word love because I'm talking about a certain situation, but I'm gonna move out of just caring for another human being that I'm being tested, right? Somebody's looking for a reaction and a response. I really want to give them what they're looking for.
Don't do it.
But I'm not going to do it because I've actually already pretty much done what I needed to do. I've said what I needed to say. You get what I'm saying? It's like, all right, let's just leave it alone. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's because I do care, right? My intentions was never to hurt anything else like that. So It's crazy. I have to tell y'all off live. Shit.
We'll talk in a minute. So let's. I obviously have my normal spill, but I'm gonna take it back just a little bit. First of all, parents, they're watching you. I don't give a shit what you say to them, but how you respond and how you act and how you deal with their issues matters more. I spent most of my life married to a white man or dating white men. Brothers, I love y'all. There is something about a black man that now I appreciate and I want in my life. However, y'all are the most difficult people I've ever met in my life to love. And I apologize for the bitches that y'all deal with that have hurt you so bad, but I'm not trying to hurt you. Let me fucking love you. Because I learned on the other side how to love, and I learned from my daddy how to love. So I come different. You know, I'm adopted, so I had to love different people. So I adjust to what you need because I need you to love me for what I do and love me for who I am. And you're not getting hugged enough. You're not getting told I love you. You're not used to people touching you. You with the mental capacity of I have to stay hard so I don't have to, stay ready so I don't have to get ready mentality. When you come home to us, let that go. Tell us you need a minute, go shower, shit, and shave, whatever you got to do. But then just come in with love so that we respond in love. Because we reflect what you give us. And when you're angry and when you're unloving, one, we give that back to you. And then two, we go and look for the love that we're missing somewhere else. And that's not always what everybody does, but a lot of people do that. And it's not because they want to cheat or be that type of chick, but they're just missing being cared for. Because a lot of people didn't have parents that cared for them. So go get help, get therapy, talk to somebody, heal yourself before you love anybody else. And then after that, whiskey's great.
Tequila.
I have tequila and whiskey. That's my go-to. But yeah, we need a cigar day. So next time you're in town, we're going to rack it up.
It's gonna be a little bit more of my cigar. I done been on the road. Look, I gotta decompress. I've been without for too long.
Taken care of. Gotcha.
So, Dad, you still on? Damn, never mind. I thought you had clicked off.
Hang on. So, for everybody watching, we appreciate you being here. Come back next week. I'll find something else to entertain us with. To you two guys and to Thomas, I love y'all because you're always there for me and you talk shit to me and give me all kinds of hell every day.
We was nice today though.
Y'all were. Y'all were really nice to me today. I didn't get shit on at all today, really. I called crazy and y'all were waiting for my wig to come off, but
Oh yeah, I was waiting on that. That was
I was waiting on it.
But it's not even a wig. I gotta sew in because I don't want to, taking it off and putting it back on and make sure it lines up and shit. I ain't got time for that. I don't like doing hair. Anyway, meditate and cuss, eat fruit and wings, hydrate with water and whiskey. Praise the Lord and twerk for spinal health. I need to twerk some. I haven't done that in a long time. Anyway, stay ratchet.
All right, good night, y'all. Hey, Swag, stay on real quick.